Happy brew year to all of you beer lovers out there. And what better way to kick it off than an ice cold Australian lager. Let's show you how we made it. We're back for another brew day. So we haven't done the Australian lager in ages. It was like the second beer we made on the channel. And a few of you guys have been asking for the recipe. So seeing as it's summer in Australia again, it's kind of perfect time to get back into it. And yes, this is the recipe that we made in that video, thumbnail card down there somewhere, on how to make a beer recipe. It was the one we made on the fly with you guys. So we're gonna get into brewing it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's start making our lager. First, grains. Super simple for the Australian lager. It is just 9.5 kilos, that an imperial of pilsner malt. So we're just using Burston Barrett's pilsner malt for this one. You know, it's just a light-bodied lager, so we don't need to go crazy with a bunch of specialties or anything. It's really about letting the crispness of this beer shine through. So we're gonna mill this at a 1.05 millimeter gap, that in, you know, whatever imperial units are for that, and then, you know, you do the same for you, and we can get on to mashing.
I love the grains.
Oh yeah. Do you want me to talk about this or not?
Do it again. Sure.
So aside from looking incredibly sexy, it's so satisfying running your hand through this stuff. That's about what you want. So around that 1 millimeter gap to, you know, kind of 1.1 is that ideal sweet spot for most grain mills. You want it to be crushed medium. You don't want it too fine where it's like a powder. You don't want it too coarse where you've like barely cracked the hulls. So that's the sweet spot, the Goldilocks zone. Time to mash in. So we are going to be mashing in at 66 degrees Celsius for 1 hour, using 30 liters of water for our strike water. So we'll throw this in, mash it all up, and then we can get to hurry up and waiting. Massive dough ball. There you go. That's why you use a mash paddle.
Nice. You mash it, boy.
I'm gonna shake what my mama gave me.
Flex your guns.
Are we gonna make the brewer's calendar like the firefighters? Mash paddle across the shoulders, beer belly coming out.
Oh dear.
You can spray the beer on each other like the champagne at the F1. Different kind of golden shower.
Oh, yeah. Why'd you go there, mate?
All right, putting our top filter on now. So again, 66 degrees Celsius, 1 hour, let it mash away, and ow, that is hot. We'll come back at the end of that to get to sparging and then boiling. Done. This thing is finished mashing now at 66 degrees Celsius for an hour. So we're gonna lift up that grain bed. We're gonna start letting all that liquid drain out, put some hot water over the top of it, sparge it, get the extra sugars out, and then move on to the boiling step. Time to sparge. So we wanna take a bunch of hot water from our hot tank. We're gonna run it over our grain bed. That's gonna extract all those little extra sugars we have lying behind. Now, we want the temperature to be between 78 to 80 degrees Celsius for two reasons. One, if it's too hot, you're gonna strip a bunch of tannins, a bunch of polyphenols from your grains and strip them into the final product. That's gonna give you a beer a bit of a astringent flavor. Two, we basically don't want it too cold because we do want to deactivate the enzymes that are currently munching away on these sugars. So between 78 to 80 degrees Celsius is that happy Goldilocks zone. So basically you can just tip this straight over the top of your grain bed, and it's going to help pull all those extra sugars out of the beer. Rinse and repeat till all the sparge water's done, and then we can get to boiling. We are boiling, so it's time to throw our hops in and start the clocks. So for the start of this boil, we're going to go 10 grams of Galaxy hops for a total boil time of 60 minutes. Throw them in and start your timers. Getting there. We are right at the end now. So with 5 minutes left in the boil, we're going to add our flavouring hops. So in here, we have 60 grams each of Galaxy and Topaz. So chuck them in now. Start your clocks one final time. 5 minutes of that. Once our 5 minutes is out, we're going to go flame out and start cooling this thing down. So now is as good a time as any to talk about why we've chosen these hops. We did mention it when we did our how to make a beer recipe video, but we'll talk about it again. Basically, we're going for a really crisp, refreshing style of lager. Traditionally, Australian lagers are quite herbal and kind of earthy. We want ours to be more the New Word style, so really fresh, fruity, and vibrant. So, Galaxy and Topaz, both really tropical styles of hops. Galaxy leaning more towards passion fruit and citrus. Topaz leaning more towards tropical fruits, and then when used in certain ways can also give some kind of resinous and grassy flavors to some extent. So using them together is going to give us a nice fruity beer, crisp finish, light body, and I think that's kind of exactly what we want in an Australian summer. There we have it, timer is done. So it's time to go flame out, turn off all of your heat sources, and start cooling this thing down. So we have our counterflow chiller that is in use at the moment with something else. So we're gonna have to use our old school chiller coil that's in here right now, turn on our cool water, start bringing this down to yeast pitching temperature. So the goal with this one, because it's a lager, you wanna pitch your yeast quite cold, ideally around that kind of 16 degree sort of mark Celsius. So start cooling it down and get ready to pitch yeast. So time to take a gravity reading while we have this thing cooling down. As always, you can use a refract. Ow! Hot! I just squirted on my finger. You can use a refractometer like this so that you don't need to worry about temperature so much. Or you can just use a hydrometer. Just make sure that you're correcting for a temperature difference because they're calibrated for 20 degrees Celsius. So let's see where our starting gravity is at. We are at 1.046. So pretty much on the money. If we end up around 1.008, we'll get a 5% lager, I think. So a little bit boozier than what I was aiming for. I wanted a 4.5% sort of thing, but who cares? We've got a little bit more alcohol for our buck. All right, we are now just about down to yeast pitching temperature. It is a bit warmer than I'd like. It's sitting at about 25 degrees at the moment, which is definitely on the warm side for a lager. But we're gonna cheat a little bit. We've got the glycol chiller running over here. So basically we're gonna throw all of this wort in. We're gonna get the glycol chiller going. We're gonna cool this down to actual yeast pitching temperature, and then we should be sweet because yeah, it's Australia, it's summer, so the groundwater is just not cold enough to actually get this thing cold enough for lager temperatures. In any case, we're gonna start pumping the wort into the fermenter now, and then once we've got this cold enough, we're gonna throw our yeast in. We're now at pitching temperature. It's time for our yeast. So as always, we have made a starter culture for ours because we want our yeast to get really active and vibrant before it goes into the tank. Not necessary, but I do highly recommend it if you have the ability to make starters. So if you are making a starter, you can use dry malt extract. You're aiming for a gravity of about 1.04, which is typically about 100 grams of extract per 1 liter of water. Anyway, so this is our starter. We are using SAF Lager S23. Yes, I know that we said we were going to use the White Labs high pressure lager strain, but unfortunately, I did try to get a starter culture going with the strain that I bought, and for whatever reason, the thing just, it kicked the bucket. It was not living, it did not want to reactivate, so we had to change last minute and go with a different yeast, unfortunately. So perhaps for the next brew, we'll give it another crack. We'll buy some more White Labs yeast and give it a shot next time. In any case, this stuff is going in, and then we're gonna sit back, chillax, and let the yeasties do their thing. Alrighty. Now, seal up your fermenter and let time take hold. So we're gonna seal this thing up. Alrighty. We're gonna ferment this at 18 degrees Celsius, which is fairly high as far as, there we go, as far as lagers go. But we do have a little trick up our sleeve. We're gonna be doing pressure fermentation using our spunding valve. So basically when you do higher pressure, it allows you to also do higher temperature fermentations. It's just the way that these things work. So 18 degrees Celsius. My guess is it's going to take about 2 weeks to fully ferment out, and then we're going to start lagering it, cold crashing it, clarifying it all, and then we're going to get it on tap for our tasting video. So until then, cheers for coming, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, any questions, let us know down below, and brew on, guys. We'll see you next time. Cheers.